This will be the second visit to Gabon this year. The Togolese president was in Gabon 3 months ago to meet with his Gabonese counterpart Ali Bongo Ondimba for a friendship and work visit. This August 9, 2019, Gabon celebrates the Flag Day, an occasion for people to hum a verse of the chorus of the Gabonese national anthem, Concorde. A national anthem is a musical composition intended to represent a nation in the international protocol. The choice of this musical composition may result from the tradition, hues, or from a decision by the legislative or executive power. Footballers of Lumumbashi's great football club, the Tout-Puissant Mazembe, started on Thursday a warning campaign against Ebola in the metropolis of the southeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo, fearing the spread of the epidemic that has killed more than 1,820 people in a year at about 1,600 kilometers away. That's all for our top stories today. Stay tuned for more details in this newscast. For Gnassingbé Eyadema, the Togolese president already tops the list of heads of state who visited their Gabonese counterpart Ali Bongo Ondimba in the month of May. President for Gnassingbé is in Libreville, Gabon for a new working and friendship visit. During his recent visit last May, the two heads of state discussed issues of common interest and the strengthening of cooperation between their two countries. In view of the relationship between the two heads of state, the issue of strengthening bilateral and multi-sectoral cooperation between Libreville and Lomé is high on the agenda, as well as issues of peace, security, and development of their respective sub-regions. In addition to his presence during his previous working visit to Gabon, the President of the Republic of Togo, Faure Gnassingbé, had honored with his presence the ceremony commemorating the 10th anniversary of the late President Omar Bongo Ondimba, alongside several other heads of states and government in Libreville. Established to cultivate and strengthen the patriotic spirit, Flag Day, celebrated every year on 9th of August, serves to safeguard the moral and republican values that sustain the development of a nation, the development of Gabon, since it is the main focus here. This is essentially what can be said by referring to its act of creation. In further details, the Flag Day should mobilize the maximum number of people in their cultural diversities around the values embodied by the flag, magnifying the colors that compose it, because a well-known saying reminds you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your relatives or the place where one is born. The feeling of belonging to a nation must force everyone to always wear the colors of their flag. A look back into the rear-view mirror of the history of Gabon to remember that it was during a cabinet meeting on 5th November 2009 that Ali Bongo Ondimba, President of the Republic of Gabon, had sung the anthem of patriotism through the establishment of this day, which not only mobilized the Gabonese of all ethnicities and borders around a single idea, the patriotism. In other words, it was a question of uniting points of views around ethics, the definition of which tells us that it is the totality of moral conceptions of a state, of an environment, or of an individual. And precisely for this year, the celebration of the Flag Day will be around the ethics of the patriotic conscience and the national construction under this theme. The authorities intend to challenge the patriotic conscience, this feeling of belonging to the same homeland, to be bound by a single cord. Authorities at large wish to cultivate and strengthen the patriotic spirit by fighting against the generation of deviant behavior and the rise of incivism, which weigh down on the development of Gabon in one way or the other. May the people succeed in reaching the message around this celebration, and may everyone, where they may be found, think Gabon first and always lift up green, yellow, and blue. The new Mauritanian President Mohamed Ould Ghazouani appointed his first government on Thursday, 8th of August, under the responsibility of Ismail Beda Ould Sheikh Sidia, appointed Prime Minister. According to observers, this government of 29 members plus one has not undergone significant change. It is almost identical to the government of his predecessor, President Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz. Several officials are back and with the same positions for some of them, in spite of some entrants among the high-ranking officials of the Republic, following the example of the former High Commissioner of Senegal River Development Organization appointed Minister of the Interior, or the appointment of Haimoud Ould Ramdan as Minister of Justice, but also the highly noted arrival of General Hanena Ould Sidi, the last Joint Force Commander of G5 Sahel, who becomes Minister of the National Defense, and Taleb Ould Sid Ahmed, former Mauritanian television journalist, became a senior executive at the World Bank in Abidjan, appointed Minister of Employment, Youth and Sports. Among the old-timers, Ismail Ould Sheikh Ahmed remains the Foreign Affairs Minister. Nani Ould Shruga at the Ministry of Fisheries and Maritime Economy. The same goes for his colleague Mohamed Abdel Vetta as Minister of Oil. 10 days after the inauguration of President Ghazouani, this government, according to many observers, does not reflect a real desire to break with the former regime of Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz, to whom he is considered very close. But a significant point to be mentioned is that no opponent is part of this team. The president of the American House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, on Thursday described the situation of thousands of migrants on the border between Mexico and the United States as scandalous and inhuman. Migrants are being treated in an inhuman way that goes against American values, hammered the elected Democrat, one of the main opponents of President Donald Trump on migration policy.
Our purpose in coming here this time was to say we have an issue at the border where people are treated inhumanely. We want them to avoid that if possible, and one way to avoid that is make it safer and more secure in every way for them to be at home.
The visit of the Democratic leader, which will continue in El Salvador and then in Honduras, intends to check whether Guatemala is in a position to welcome migrants under an agreement reached at the end of July with the United States. This agreement on the right to asylum makes Guatemala a safe third country in which asylum seekers will have to initiate the procedure.
She asked about a third, what was our position with a third country agreement. That is the purpose of our trip, to be able to talk to the different NGOs and the people that are running the programs that could be needed in order to repatriate the number of people. And I think I have been very, very clear on my position. My personal position is that Guatemala is in no way capable of being a third country.
The signing of the Migration Pact triggered a breakup in Guatemala. Opponents and NGOs argue that this country, where 60% of the population lives below the poverty line, will be well unable to accommodate migrants seeking to reach the United States as stipulated in the agreement. It is on the occasion of a gala match between the two Puissant Mazembe and Don Bosco in Lubumbashi, a megacity of more than 2.7 billion inhabitants, that this campaign was launched in the presence of several hundred supporters of the DRC's most successful football club in African competitions. For the occasion, the footballers of these two clubs wore blouses on which was written "Stop to Ebola." Ebola really does exist. We must be prepared to stop the spread of this disease by adopting appropriate behaviors such as regular hand washing, said in Swahili the left back, the main language spoken in Lubumbashi, Jean Kasusula. Every time you see signs of illness like fever, you have to go to medical center. Ebola kills. Fetishists can do nothing about this disease, explained to Puissant Mazembe Ivorian goalkeeper Sylvain Gbowo. In all the provinces where Puissant Mazembe will play, or even abroad, we will continue to say all together, stop to Ebola in order to eradicate the spread of this disease in our country and in the world, said President of the Tupuisa Mazembe Club, the former governor of Katanga, Moise Katumbi. There is a lot of trading between Goma, where 4 cases of Ebola have been reported, and Lumumbashi, separated by more than 1,600 kilometers. Relatively limited in 2 provinces in North Kivu in the east and Ituri in the northeast. Since its appearances in August last year, the spread of the hemorrhagic fever epidemic to large densely populated urban centers and beyond the borders of the Democratic Republic of Congo would give it a new dimension. This will be the second visit to Gabon this year. The Togolese president was in Gabon 3 months ago to meet with his Gabonese counterpart Ali Bongo Ondimba for a friendship and work visit. This August 9, 2019, Gabon celebrates the Flag Day, an occasion for people to hum a verse of the chorus of the Gabonese national anthem, Concorde. A national anthem is a musical composition intended to represent a nation in the international protocol. The choice of this musical composition may result from the tradition, hues, or from a decision by the legislative or executive power. Footballers of Lumumbashi's great football club, the Tupuisa Mazembe, started on Thursday a warning campaign against Ebola in the metropolis of the southeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo, fearing the spread of the epidemic that has killed more than 1,820 people in a year at about 1,600 kilometers away. That's the end of our newscast of the day, but keep watching Gabon 24 for further news.